Hello, doctors and students. Welcome back to the UCM podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Bill Davis from UCM Practice Growth Systems, and we have some fantastic guests on the podcast today. It's just all Davises all the time here. We have Dr. Connor Davis and Dr. Leah Davis from Knoxville, Tennessee. Welcome to the podcast, Doctors Davis.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
I'm excited to have you guys here. And, for anybody out there that doesn't know you, and I know you guys were on the podcast previously a few years ago, but anybody out there that doesn't know you, will you introduce yourselves to our audience?
Yeah. So I'm Dr. Leah Davis. This is my husband, Dr. Connor Davis. We practice out in Knoxville, Tennessee. We have opened our office, Transcend Chiropractic, in June of 2022. Prior to that, we were living in the suburbs of Chicago. I was an associate with Dr. Kleinfelter for almost 4 years until we decided to move out to Knoxville. So that's a little bit about me, but I've been practicing NUCA going on 8 years now, which is crazy to think about.
I'm a NUCA convert, as I like to say. Dr. Leah told me that the only way that she would let me adjust her is if I would learn NUCA. So I spent time in my office with the textbook, reading through it. And she obviously instructed me, but that was the only way she let me adjust her. So that's what I had to do. I'd worked in a couple of different offices in Chicago, doing more traditional type work until Leah converted me. And here I am, loving it.
Nice. Well, I also am a NUCA convert, upper cervical convert. And so, I practiced a full spine my first 2 years in associate position. And so I'm right there with you, Doc. I understand how that goes. So, but that's cool. So, okay. So you guys have been, after you did your previous experience, been in your own office since 2022. And, how's that been going? What's been going on over these this is the fourth year.
Yeah, it's been good. It's been quite a trip. Whenever you move somewhere, when you're from the Midwest and you move all the way across the country to, you just don't know what it's going to be like or how it's going to go. But man, it's been quite a fun experience, really. And
yeah, I would say start off with some unknowns of, okay, we're starting a practice from scratch here. We have no patients. Where's our first patient going to come from? How
Right.
are we going to get everything in the office ready to go? So there's a lot of questions, but honestly, when you practice something so specific and so unique, just having the word NUCA or upper cervical out there on Google really got the ball rolling for us. We weren't even fully ready to see patients before we had patients calling and getting things scheduled. So that was really good. And then things took off from there. We're very busy right now looking for an associate to help us out. We have a wait list of patients booked out through
mid-April.
So so some help would be good.
Yeah. Context that's about a 3-month waiting list.
Yes.
Yeah. Patients.
Yep.
Woo! Yeah. You guys really, really need an associate. Wow.
Yes.
So, okay. Well, the word is out. Obviously, the word is out in Knoxville. And I know, I think we've helped you with that, but it's been exciting to see that and the practice building. And as you said, I mean, there is, when you do something like upper cervical that first of all works so well, that people want to, people tell others about it, but also that it's just so unique. It's not something like anything that anybody else is doing or, has experienced. There is a great draw to it, right?
Yeah.
It's like, wow, it's like, oh, this is different. I've never heard of this, and that, anytime that people say that, it usually will get people's attention, right? Because it's not what other people, like when you talk to people about it, even if they've been to chiropractors or whatever, it's completely different, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And so that's the key with it, and really having that unique positioning in the marketplace like you guys have, because there's really not, I mean, I think even in your area, there's not a lot of other people or anybody that's really doing NUCA or upper cervical work, right?
Yeah, that's true. Our nearest neighbor to the north, as far as NUCA goes, is over 5 hours away.
Yeah.
And then
Wow.
south is also about 4 hours
Yeah.
and 3 hours on either side
On
of
either
us.
side of us, yeah. So there's a
Yeah. So we actually have, because of that, there's a lot of patients that drive a
Yeah.
long distance to
Sure.
our office. Yeah. We have patients traveling
From-
over 4 hours
Yeah.
to see us.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And of course, one of your patients is Tony Hook, our beloved director of client success and sales, and we
Not that
appreciate.
we
would
can't
disclose
confirm or
that.
deny that.
Who's Tony?
Well, I'm saying that, yeah, and I know you guys. I mean, you guys have taken care of his family, and I really appreciate that. I know he was driving a long ways before you guys came to the area, I believe, right? I think
Yeah.
he was driving about 3 hours to see the doctor that he was seeing. So yeah, I'm grateful for that. Yeah, so let's talk about the practice. So I mean, obviously now at this point, I mean, man, it's really rocking and rolling. But you know, as you said, you moved there with no patients, right? So as you started working on the practice and working on building the practice, you know, what were some of those challenges that you found early on that were like, wow, this is different than being an associate, right? Because there's being an associate and then there's owning your own practice, and it's two different experiences, right? And so, what were some of those things that you really noticed early on? Like, wow, this was a challenge, or this is something that maybe we weren't expecting, or whatever.
You know, there was some lead up to even opening of stuff that, you know, I had never really considered about. We have to make an LLC and we need to like find a business space, but negotiate a lease. And there was just a lot about that we had not a whole lot of ideas that we were doing. Even before we like got down here and was like, oh, we could see a patient. There was, you know, several aspects that we just had never even thought of before.
Right.
And starting a website and getting our systems in place too, of what our procedures are. And since I was working at Dr. Kleinfelter's office, she's really organized in terms of having scripts, and these are all the steps and these are all the systems. But the communication between the two of us of these are the systems, these are the steps, knowing that every office functions a little differently. So for us to figure out what is our office going to be like and how are we going to be consistent for patients, so it looks like we know what we're doing.
Yeah. Well, and that's so important. I mean, it's like, even when you have a good associate position or a good associate experience like you had, because I know that Dr. Carrie Kleinfelter is on top of things and she's got really solid systems. And you know, I mean, you knew her systems, right? But just because you have a system doesn't mean that that's your system, right? And as you said, you know, with Dr. Connor coming in as well, you guys need to develop those systems together.
Yes.
So
we spent a lot of time getting on the same page on that, and you know, this is how we're going to do things together. Does this sound good to both of us?
Right.
So
what we're going to do when a new patient comes in, what's the format of that? What is their care plan going to be like going forward? How do we take care of them at each visit? So all of the details of how that office flows, which was fun, but I think that was a challenge again, because it's the communication and the agreements between the two of us. A cool thing that we developed, because Connor was full spine, for progress exams, our progress exams are very thorough, mostly because I wanted to make the point to Connor that if you adjust the atlas really, really well, the whole spine is going to fall into alignment. Therefore, we don't have to adjust anything else. You leave it alone. So Connor was like, okay, yeah, we'll see about that. So for the new patient consultation, we went through every new patient, their whole spine. We assess them like you would traditional chiropractic. So we wrote down every subluxation, the pattern of that subluxation. And then at the 6-week progress exam, we would do that same exact thing, go head to toe, assessing every vertebra of the spine and checking the alignment and comparing notes as to what it was like before. which ultimately just supported,
wow,
isn't upper cervical great?
Yeah.
But it was pretty extensive, and that was something that we just had to adapt to. So we would be on the same page with, this is how care actually works.
Yeah. And Connor, now you're a believer.
Yeah. Well, it's one thing for like other doctors to tell you that.
Yeah.
And for me to just repeat to a patient, hey, this is what NUCA does. It's another thing for me to say, no, I've objectively checked this thousands of times, and this is just how it works. I know it, not just because people told me.
Right.
Because we have the empirical data to back it up.
Right.
Well, and what a powerful thing to the patient as well, right? Like, I mean, when you can show them those objective changes and in their full body from an upper cervical correction, man, that's, you know, that helps them to really get it, right? Like, it's like, yeah, I mean, you're adjusting me right up here, but it's somehow helping me in my lower back or my, you know, my knee or something, you know, like, what do you, okay.
Right.
You know, it takes some faith at the beginning, right? It's like, okay, well, it makes sense. I think I believe, but once you actually can start seeing that objectively, and that's why it's wonderful you guys are actually doing progress exams, right?
Yeah.
Like, if there's so many docs out there, you know, who aren't, and we encourage that all the time. Make sure you're doing progress exams. It's so important. So, yeah.
We think progress exams are incredibly important because people all the time like to forget how bad they were. They're like, oh, I said that? Yeah, that was a big problem for you.
Yeah. Yeah, we're pretty thorough at taking a health history as well and getting all the details of, you know, onset, frequency, duration, intensity for everything, and bringing that progress exam up 6 weeks from when somebody started care. Patients also find it to be very valuable. They love going through and talking about, oh, that's right, I did experience that, and now I haven't had that for a while. Or when we're talking about muscle tone or what's going on in their spine, I remember you pointed out that was an area, and I don't even feel that anymore. And a lot of patients say, I'm so glad we did this progress exam because I really know that I'm improving, even though, you know, they don't feel the symptoms anymore. Feeling good sometimes just doesn't feel like anything. Feeling good just means you don't have a problem. Right. And for some patients, you know, they need that objective data to recognize that, oh yeah, I am feeling good.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the whole thing. Like, progress exams are for the patient, right? Yeah. Like, if you're not doing progress exams, you're not serving your patients as well as you could be, right? Because it's as you said, Connor, right? Patients forget, right? They like immediately, as soon as something goes away, they forget about it. Like, it's like, it never happened. It's like, I did have migraines for 20 years. Right. Remember that? But no, it's like but all of these things, like, oh yeah, I wasn't sleeping. Oh yeah, my energy was super. I couldn't get through the day, or I couldn't do this, or I couldn't do that. You know, when you have those activities of daily living and you're reiterating that to patients, right? And it's showing them like, yeah, this is how life was before you came in here, and this is how life is now. Aren't you grateful? Right? I mean, isn't that a good thing? That's a great thing, right? And of course, then that leads into, hey, let's capture a success story. Let's, do a video testimonial. Let's have you review us or whatever, right? So we can get the message out there that, and this is how we're helping people. And so it's good for the patient, good for the practice, and it's good for the doctors too. Like you said, it helps you to see the changes, right? Yeah. And that encourages you in your work.
Yeah. We tell that to our patients also, that the progress exam is just as much for us as it is for them. Yeah. It's great to talk about, okay, this is improving, but if something wasn't improving that we expect it should be, so if we're examining somebody's spine and this area feels just like it did when you started care, that to us is an indication that we need to change something. Mm-hmm. Maybe we need to look at x-rays again. Maybe we need to reanalyze, change the vector that we're adjusting at. That's always a great opportunity to do that. And patients also love that we do that because they know that they're getting good care. They know that we're not just going to keep doing the same thing if it's not working. So
that you care, that you actually care about their results, right? That makes an impact on people. People are looking for someone to actually care. Yeah. And so, and also it's a great opportunity. If you are building like a health practitioner referral network and those kinds of things too, when you do progress exams, to be able to say, okay, well, hey, these 6 things that you came in with, 5 of them are better, but this one's not. And maybe this is something else. Maybe this isn't your upper cervical subluxation that's creating this, right? And then you have other people you can refer to. Like that, there's so many benefits of progress exams that helps to really, it really is to serve the patient. So yeah. And so, something else that you'd mentioned before we started was just the importance of really getting your team dialed in and getting your front desk really in a position where they're really, that you guys are firing on all cylinders. I'd love to talk with you, about you now, with you now about how that process has been. Obviously, in the since 2022, what have you learned about CA hiring and training and building that team culture within your practice?
Yeah. So it really had to start with us establishing our systems. Since it was already the 2 of us, we didn't hire somebody right away. When we opened. We could manage seeing patients, checking them in and out, taking phone calls, until we got to a place where we were pretty busy and not able to do that anymore. So it was about after recognizing that, realizing that we can't answer the phone anymore, or that we have a million emails to respond to by the end of the day and we're not getting home at a good time. That was a time that we had to hire somebody, but we had to sit down and talk about all of our systems, make sure that it was written out very clearly. So when somebody steps in, they have the right resources. Of course, there can be that one-on-one training, but eventually we want that person to be able to be self-sufficient and be able to handle those tasks that they were given on their own without us constantly needing to be there, because our focus was seeing patients and taking care of people and making sure that they are doing well. And we just needed somebody to help with that. And I think initially, that was kind of the expectation, as somebody that could follow our rules and follow our systems and do a good job. But then once we hired somebody, we learned that there's a bit more to it than just following all of that. I think the passion for
what we do,
upper cervical care, and also the understanding. Some people are very teachable and willing to learn, but I think that person that's representing the office also has to be just as enthusiastic about the care that you give, because they become the face of the office. They're the first person that everybody talks to, the first person that everybody sees when they walk in the doors. They have to be really the right person all around, not just following procedures and going through motions, but also advocating for patients and making sure that they get in, or if a new patient calls, making sure that they have the confidence to schedule that consultation so the patient can come in and talk to the doctors. So that was a bit of a learning curve. We had a couple experiences until we were able to find that right person.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when we first hired somebody, it was more of a point of, hey, we've spent the time, we have all the procedures. Somebody could look at this and just say, oh, if X happens, Y should follow that. We had that all written out. Not that we weren't there to help somebody, but like there were resources. And it's like, hey, if you just follow this, a warm body could probably help us out here.
Yeah.
Not that we were just looking for any warm body, but like if you could just answer a phone and say hi and check somebody in and out. But I guess what Leah was kind of getting at is somebody who values their health, values health in general, or just values our care. Those 2 components makes a big difference, because if you value health, you can be a good face of an office, because you care not just about your health, but other people's health.
Right. And that was a big turning point for our office, though. Once we made the decision that, we probably should look for somebody that values health more, somebody that's a little bit more willing to learn about what we do. We went from think we were still receiving at least one new patient phone call a day.
Yeah.
And with the original person that we had hired, maybe not every new patient was getting scheduled, maybe about 50%. And then making the switch, I'm not sure that our current CA ever doesn't schedule somebody because she's just that enthusiastic about care, and she's a very genuine person too. You can give somebody a script, but when they actually mean it, that makes a huge difference.
Yeah, there's a huge difference between saying the words and believing them.
Yes, definitely.
Right? Definitely. Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, if you tell somebody, oh yeah, say this, but if it comes from their actual heart and they're saying it because they actually believe what they're saying, they believe it so much that that they're an advocate for the patient to get the help that they need, right? Like that's the kind of person. That kind of person is, man, a powerful force for an office. No wonder you guys are booked out for 3 months.
Absolutely. I would say that's a big part of where that comes from. I mean, the marketing and everything is great and the word about upper cervical, but if you don't have the right person answering those phone calls, it doesn't matter.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. We wrote about that in our last book, that, your new patient phone call it can be either an open or a closed door to your practice. Right. And it literally, and most of the time doctors don't even know, right? Like you don't even know what they're doing, what they're saying on the phone or what's happening with those calls. Unfortunately, unless you have call recording in place and these types of things, but it's, it is a huge thing in a practice is what is happening on that first call. Right. Because like you said, if you're only scheduling 50% of those calls, that adds up quickly, versus if you're scheduling 80, 90, 100%. Right. So, and you mentioned something else too, that I thought was important. I mean, obviously you guys are a husband and wife team, and there's some great benefits of being a husband and wife team and starting a practice together. As you mentioned, like when you first open the practice, you don't necessarily need to hire a CA, right? That's the rare exception where we would, because we always recommend open a practice with a CA, right? But in a husband and wife scenario, we wouldn't recommend that necessarily, because like you said, you have two people, right? And when you have two people, you can do two different jobs essentially, or you can do half a job and whatever. You just have more bandwidth with two people, right? And so talk about that. Like how was that? I mean, obviously, you talked a little about some of the challenges and getting on the same page, but how was that just a blessing for you guys when you first started, is being a husband and wife team and and getting the practice going?
Being together is super great. I love it. It's actually not that I'm sad we have a son now. We love him. We love him. We love him. But I am sad that we no longer work every shift together anymore. We moved things around so that one of us could be at home. We still have out the same or more hours actually, but having two people there at the same time is really great because we typically take care of the vast majority of all of our patients, see both of us. So if for whatever reason one person got behind on the schedule for whatever reason, the other doctor might be running ahead and can, just keep the flow going. Which is super helpful.
It's a really good system. And to our patients too, a lot of our patients recognize that we are married. And so it's a very warm, welcoming environment that we've created to where I might be taking care of one patient and then in the room next door, it's somebody else, and just peek in and say hi. And then we're all having a conversation in the office. It's really fun because our office does feel like our second home. And being able to step in and, I'm going to take care of this patient now, or, you can go over there. Since we're married, we already communicate together. I would say that we have a pretty good marriage, but so knowing that we already know how to communicate, it's easy to do that in the office too. There might be a patient that I need Dr. Connor to see. And I don't necessarily have to step in there and say, hey, Dr. Connor, can you see this patient? I can just give the look or say, oh, let me go over here. And Dr. Connor knows exactly what I'm asking him to do without making an interruption or changing any persona of the office or however you would say that. So it's great. Now that we have a son, we don't necessarily see patients during the same time in the office as much. We still have certain hours that we do, but we've definitely expanded our hours and are trying to sort that out. So we do miss each other.
Yeah, that's cool. Very cool. Well, one of the things obviously we've mentioned a few times is that you guys need an associate, right? I mean, your practice is busy, it's rocking and rolling, and you only have so much capacity between the two of you, and now being blessed with a son, and so now it's time. It's time to hire your first associate, and so I'd love for you guys to talk about that. You know, what are you looking for an associate? You know, who is that right person for you as you have envisioned it? And just, you know, lay it all out there, and let's see what maybe there's a person that's listening to this that's that person.
Yeah. So obviously, gathering from what we just said about how when we are there together, we just function as a really good team of just, you know, sometimes even if somebody has to go do something else, I or Leah will just be able to step in and finish an appointment just like nothing really changed. Yep. So it would ideally be somebody who would be wanting to work in a kind of warm, welcoming environment, but where you are just, you're a team. You're almost part of being the same doctor in a sense. Obviously, your own unique individual and everything, but
right.
You know.
Yep, somebody that's willing to step into the office that we've already created, and they're teachable, willing to learn and flow the way that we flow in the office. Also passionate about learning the technique. That's really important to us. Although we are nice people to talk to, a lot of our patients appreciate the quality of care that we do give. We strive to do great upper cervical NUCA adjustments. Both of us are going through the certification process, and we find that's pretty invaluable. And we would want our care to stay consistent as we hire somebody else into the team. So we would also want that person to desire to go through certification, hold themselves to a high standard of the type of care that they are giving. That's super important for us.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so, and you're located in the Knoxville, Tennessee area, obviously. And this is an immediate opening, right? Obviously, you're looking for somebody as soon as you find the right person, you're ready to hire them.
Yes.
And so, and then from my understanding, they can just go to your website if they're interested in the position, and that's transcendchiro.net. Is that right?
Correct.
transcendchiro.net/associate. And at that place, you can submit the application and find out more about the position. And I think that is what you know. If you're interested, that's what you should do. Is there anything else about this associate position that you would want someone to know?
Our office functions as a team throughout. So even with our CAs and everything, when you step into our office, you are becoming part of our family. And we do care about every employee that we have, every person, and making sure that you're happy with how things are going. Communication is just really important. And we desire to find somebody that would enjoy their life of being with us in our office. And ideally, if you're a student looking to take on a role when you graduate, or a newer doctor, we are absolutely willing to train and put in all the effort to get you to that high standard too. You're not on your own. We absolutely can mentor. When I was in Dr. Kleinfelter's office as an associate, I also took on the role of also training other associate doctors too. So I've had experience with that. And it's, yeah, we just want somebody that will be willing to learn and fit in with us in our office.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, and that's really valuable that you've already trained associates in the past, because that's obviously something that not every associate opportunity has that. Many associates are coming into a practice that has never had an associate or had any experience training associates, and so that's very, very valuable. We put it in the we'll put it in the show notes for this episode. You can find the associate position at transcendchiro.net/associate. I also have it on the screen right now if you want to go there now. But yeah, that is what you should do. And so, Doctors Davis, appreciate you guys being on the podcast again. Thank you for all you're doing for your community. And as we always say, go Team Upper Cervical.
Thank you.